In my most recent top 5 niches of the week video, I offered to do a sub-niche research tutorial, and today I plan on delivering that. I'm also going to combine that with a very minimal design tutorial to show you guys my real process. Granted, this process I have been, and number one, it works for me. It doesn't mean it's like optimal for everybody, but number two, I've really developed it over the span of 6 years at this point. I've been doing print on demand for about 6 years. Now, I am a one-man team. I don't hire virtual assistants or other artists, so you're going to literally see how I've been doing it. And again, I invite you to implement it if it's going to work for you, and if not, at least you'll know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And you see my numbers. I try to post daily sales updates on Instagram. I post weekly sales updates on top 5 niches of the week. My whole point is to both inform and inspire, so I hope you find what I'm going to show you in this video today useful. Let's get to it. So the first thing I do in my research process is I typically come to Podly. It is a niche research tool for print-on-demand sellers geared towards Amazon, all right? But that doesn't mean that it's not useful if you're selling on Etsy too. Of course, there are Etsy research tools that are probably more optimal. If you're focused primarily on Amazon or Amazon Merch or Amazon Seller Central, FBM print-on-demand, Podly is definitely a good option. I will link to that in the description so that you get a discounted rate if you choose to join. If not, no worries. I said I was going to be transparent. And just so you know, if you don't want to use a paid tool, you can still go directly to Amazon.com and do your keyword research there. I would recommend installing the DS Amazon Quick View Chrome extension, which is free. Then at least you can see BSR, best sellers rank, underneath each product in search results, which is an indicator of how well they're selling, because Amazon doesn't just render them in search results in order from bestseller to worst seller. So you actually do have to kind of look and figure out like what the real bestseller is. It's not always at the top. So when you first go to Podly, it looks like this. Now at the top, you have the option of doing filters, doing searches, etc. If you just look at the default view, you get to intake at a glance what the best sellers are, and they actually do filter them from bestseller to worst seller. The lower the BSR, the better. That's really the indicator of how well something is selling. On Amazon, the BSR shows us how well products are selling in a category relative to one another. So the lower, the better, right? Now, Podly also filters out the protected brands so that we don't have to worry about infringing, all right? That's a huge benefit of using it, honestly. And they're basically just creating a parallel database of Amazon's products, all right? And again, this allows us to query this database. If you go to Amazon and you search too many times too quickly, they're gonna think you're a bot or that you're trying to scrape their data, and they're gonna throttle you. Yes, Amazon does do that, all right? So anyways, here we are at Podly. I don't necessarily have to know what I wanna sell. Oftentimes, I'll just scroll. You know, if I'm preparing for top 5 niches of the week, I'm just gonna scroll and scroll and scroll. The more regularly you do this, the more you start to get a feel for what is popular right now. And that also helps you identify emerging trends. So if this is your first time looking, you don't know what an emerging trend is because you're probably looking at most of these for the first time. If you do it every day or every other day or even a few times a week, it starts to become second nature, all right? So I would recommend making a regular habit of scrolling through the best sellers. And again, I didn't even search for anything. Now, in the case of how I do my sub-niche research, which is what I wanted to show you in this video, typically what I'll do is I'll scroll through here and I'll find something that is selling well, all right? So for instance, this fishing shirt right here, I can't talk, I'm on the other line. I've actually done a design tutorial for this shirt, by the way, in the past. But like, okay, so fishing shirts are selling well. I mean, this is just a quick example, right? Like I'm scrolling through bestsellers, I see some fishing shirts, okay. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up to the top here where the filters are, and I'm gonna type in fishing and I'm gonna search, okay? Now I've actually already done this on a separate tab right here, and I'm looking at best-selling products from Amazon, Amazon Merch specifically, indexed on the word fishing. Now I'm looking for sub-niches of the fishing parent niche, and Podly's basically putting them right here at my fingertips, right? So the next step that I personally will do is, as a part of my process, is I typically like to just make a list of the text on the shirts, and each of these to me represents a sub niche of fishing, right? And fishing could be anything else. It could be pickleball, it could be bowling, it could be whatever, right? In this case, we're just using fishing as the example. So when I'm actually making or uploading my designs, after I make designs for these sub niches, I'll probably say something like fishing shirt, comma, or fishing gift, comma, and then actually put the text from the sub niche, just so you guys know. All right, trying to make this tutorial as valuable as possible, but I'm gonna make a list, right? So I'm just gonna scroll and scroll and scroll and look at what some of these bestsellers say and use that as my guide instead of guessing, right? Because whether or not I'm a fisherman and whether or not I'm going fishing or know anything about fishing doesn't mean I can't sell t-shirts in the fishing niche, right? So I make my list of different sub niches, right? Different pieces of text that go on fishing shirts that are popular, that are selling, all right? And then next I'm gonna go and design some fishing shirts. I personally, I'll use Kittl, I'll use Photoshop. You can go to Photop. It's like a web-based free version of Photoshop, whatever you like to do. And then I'll start working in the text from my sub-niche research. So all of these, I will tend to work into these simple design templates that I've made for myself. So I don't just come to Photoshop and hit File, New, and type in the dimensions. By the way, anybody wondering, canvas size, I like to use 4500 by 5400 pixels as my go-to. Assuming I'm going to upload to like Amazon merch t-shirts or Printify t-shirts, Printful t-shirts, awkward styles, whatever, whoever you're using, right? This dimension tends to work. And then I'll save a couple different design templates because there are plenty of different design styles that work and some resonate with some customers better than others. I don't think there's a single design that everybody wants. So it's okay to take one of these sub niches here, right? You can take any of these and make multiple different designs from them, which may be easier said than done. Again, I'm not assuming that you have 6 years experience like I do, but I know off the top of my head a couple different ways of framing these designs based on past experience. Also just based on, scrolling through Podly, look at the color schemes, look at the size of the graphics, look at what type of graphics to use. Now, if you're wondering, this is just one design example. I actually have a few I'm going to show you, right? And it says life is better with fishing, which I actually didn't even write down. You don't have to write down and be super meticulous about every single niche. You can sell across any different niche shirts that say life is better with X. That's just low-hanging fruit. You could switch this to addicted to X, right? Where X is fishing in this case. You don't have to go way over the top with your research efforts. Sometimes you can just go with obvious ones. But when I do niche research for fishing, I'm getting a lot of fishing specific, often slanted towards being funny type things. You know what I mean? Master, baiter, I heart motorboating, jerk at every chance. You know what I mean? Part-time hooker, a lot of funny ones, right? So anyways, I made this design. I don't want to leave you guys hanging here. I made this design by going to Creative Fabrica. All right. You guys are probably familiar with this website. I do talk about it often because it's actually really valuable and you can join for $4.99 a month if you use my link. I'll put it in the description. I'll put it right at the top. And I type in sunset graphics. Boom. I get all of these pre-made sunset graphics for me, right? So if you don't like the orange and yellow sunset, I can easily just switch it out for a different sunset here. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to spend an hour trying to create these graphics. Not that I'm against doing that, but the reality is, and I've said this in previous videos, you don't get paid extra for working twice as hard. You know what I mean? As long as your output that the customer is buying is good, that's all that matters. Okay, so anyways, just showing you that you can very easily get pre-made graphics for simple things like vintage retro sunsets. You'll never guess the next piece, but then I looked up fishing graphics and I found a nice fish graphic, okay? Got that checked off the list. Next up, you might be wondering, what font did I use? Well, Creative Fabrica also has the Edmund font, which is a nice distressed font. So I'm using that here in this design template. And that is how I made this. And I'm, just being honest, it probably took me 2 minutes to do, if that, you know what I mean? Plus, I like to save these templates. So I actually built this one for this video from scratch. Took about 2 minutes. If I hit save, then when I want to use this in the future for a different niche, I can literally just go find, a different graphic for bowling or whatever the new niche is, switch the word fishing to bowling, and then now I'm in the bowling niche. You see how easy that was? But I wanted to show you guys that I can then also do some other type of designs in this niche. Here is a simple low-hanging fruit. By the way, this is the type of stuff that I'll give you in my course. My full print on demand course has a whole module dedicated to design. It doesn't mean you have to be a good designer. I'll just give you these sort of design template ideas that sell across any niche. Now, this one is okay. It's not great, right? It's just simple white text, but watch what a difference it makes to simply apply a good color scheme. Did you guys see the difference there? White text, it's okay. A nice color scheme, all of a sudden you can sell this all day, right? You want nice color schemes? I'll give you a bunch of good ones that sell in my print on demand design, my print on demand course that includes the design module. It also includes the research module, of course. And we talk more about evergreen, trend, evergreen niche research, but also trend research, etc., and what to do when you actually find a trend. So that's another design that I wanted to show you. And also you can grab this font on Creative Fabrica. It's called Ask Why. All right, so I'm going to link to Creative Fabrica in the description. I'm also going to link to each of these individual resources in case you want to use them individually. That's fine. And also, if you don't know what font to use, you can go to Creative Fabrica, go to Fonts, and then just click Display Fonts. Display fonts tend to be my personal favorite because they often display really well. Like they're big, they're bold. It's the type of font I want to use, generally speaking. Doesn't apply to necessarily all of them, but generally speaking, on print on demand, I think it translates well into e-commerce sales. All right, so then I've got one more that I wanted to show you. You can do something with just the graphic and not use the sunset, right? The sunsets, I mean, whether you like them or not, I mean, they do sell, but like, if you're not a fan, go ahead and just do something with the graphic, pair it with some text, and again, just find different ways to work in the list of sub niches that you got from Podly, which put the best sellers in order, right? So it's doing all the work for you, basically. It's just minimal effort here. And you can knock out, I mean, obviously, like the more often you do this, the easier it gets, the faster it gets. But again, don't make it harder than it needs to be. And I mean, I know not everybody has time, whatever. It's all good, right? At the end of the day, you really just need to get it done and do a good enough job, right? Make good enough designs in a niche that people are actually looking to buy, and then frame them in a way that appeals to your customer, right? If that's on Etsy, that's extra work, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just Etsy. If it's on Amazon, you can usually get away with using like crappy default mockups from Printful with their integration. Believe it or not. Yeah, that can work. So anyways, that's really all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope that was good. I hope I delivered on my promise of sub-niche research. My goal was to make it simple because I like to keep things simple. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, etc. Beneath this video. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. My full print on demand course is linked in the description. It shows you exactly how I make six-figure print on demand profits since 2019. By the way, I didn't quit my two jobs, my 9-to-5 and my teaching job, until 2020. So I did it six-figure passive profits on the side as a side hustle before quitting my jobs. I'll show you exactly how I did it. It is all in the course. Please check that out if you're interested. And thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow with a new video.